I'm Alex,
And I'm Teddy.
And I'm Spencer.
and we are
The
Button
Mappers.
Hey, the Button Mappers.
Dun, 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 dun.
Spencer. Spencer.
Blink, 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 blink.
If you couldn't tell, today we are doing a map out of Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear.
On the comlink today. On the comlink today, we've got at 140.65 majority.
This is Majority speaking.
It's Teddy.
Hi.
And then codename
Teddy.
Turbozone at 141.35. Alex.
Metal Gear.
And I will be the. They already said that I'm the tech expert. The tech expert at 142.81.
Are you gonna be Mei Ling? You're gonna stay at the game. Oh, Snake.
Remember the ancient proverb: dragon eats water.
Have you ever seen Godzilla before? Wrong game. But yes, we just tore through Metal Gear Solid, and we're all excited and pumped to do the map out of it, which will be interesting because there's not much map. But we'll make of it what we can.
And this has been something that Spencer and I have talked about for maybe the past, I don't know, year or something.
Not me.
Doing Metal Gear Solid. Teddy, this is your first time playing Metal Gear Solid.
That it is. Holy smokes! My second
Welcome.
PlayStation 1 game ever finished.
Welcome to the rabbit hole.
Yikes.
You just
It was good though. I enjoyed it.
uncorked. Yeah, so I want to hear as a virgin of the series what you thought of Metal Gear Solid real quick.
Okay. So obviously I have interacted with it through the Smash Bros. Reveals or whatever from the Wii days when Solid Snake was introduced for Brawl, and that's about it as far as my real exposure to Metal Gear Solid. I've seen the little crates, the boxes. I know he hides in the boxes. Surprisingly, I didn't hide in a single box this damn game. Playing this for the first time, there was a huge learning curve. I started with it on the RetroPie, and I was like, what? You start off and it's you have to crouch and crawl under the thing, and then a guy sees you. I didn't even understand the weapon command, so I game overed in the beginning of the game. It probably took me maybe a good hour or two to really get down the controls, which is a good 10% of the game. So it's kind of just going through the motions. And what I really liked about it is just how story heavy it is. I'm a story fan in video games. I like a good story. And I also like the presentation style. I did play this on the PlayStation 1. So, the in-game gameplay graphics were not the best. But I loved when it went to the what's the walkie-talkie? The codec? Yeah. I love the codec sequences. It had this very vector graphic style feel to it, and the voice acting was superb. A couple moments threw me for a loop. I loved the comedy. There's a little bit of that in there. We've already hinted at some of it between the various numbers you can dial. As far as the gameplay, it's very out of the box, type of thinking. And so I tried to appreciate it for what it was. I did look up a walkthrough whenever I got really stuck, or I just I couldn't figure out where I was supposed to go. But for the most part, the game was intuitive and I understood what I was doing.
Nice.
So I enjoyed it. It was a good experience.
Yeah. That's fun.
Consider it archived.
I'm glad you liked it because this is a very divisive series. I have friends that have played it that watched playthroughs of it and were not happy at all to sit through it, to say the least.
Well, it's just when you play this, and I was telling Teddy before he started playing it, whenever you play Metal Gear Solid, it's not playing most other stealth games or or action games and stuff. is a Hideo Kojima game, and you understand what that means as you play it. You know.
Oh yeah, they make sure you know that it's a Hideo Kojima game.
His name came up a couple times.
Yeah, a couple times.
But depending on how many times you game over.
But he's just one of those guys that like the games that have his name on it, like it means something, and it has like a feeling to it,
Yeah.
that
I got a feeling.
got a feeling that this is gonna be a good game.
A map out.
Well, you
Metal Gear Solid.
you guys ready to map this baby out?
Sure, but before we do, where else can listeners hear the map out? Alex?
You hop over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and you can hear us talk about Metal Gear Solid in a cardboard box. That's where we're actually recording this episode inside of a cardboard box. Or hop over to Discord, and we'll talk to you about my favorite Japanese animes. Like Otacon.
Join the convention. All right, Spencer.
All right. We got some awesome music. It's all right.
Not before the title screen. Do.
And we end up in a cargo dock. So we're gonna break this up basically into 4 different sections. The first section, using the fandom wiki, we're trying to find the right way to map this out. It's not an easy game to map out. We're gonna call it the tank hangar. It includes a lot of big areas, including the cargo dock where we start. We got a heliport. We got the actual tank hangar with 3 different levels, and it'll transition to the canyon. So the first part is the cargo dock. That's kind of where you learn how to do the basic stealth mechanics of what we're doing. Teddy obviously spent a little bit of time extra there. That's fine. It's a very weird control scheme. What do you guys think of the beginning of this game?
I love the cinematics of him like coming out of the Snake coming out of the water and stuff. I don't know. It's very nostalgic, and it's something that the series will call back onto for other games.
It's been a little bit, so I don't remember the opening cutscene here, but I do love how it just kind of throws you in it, and gets you really experimenting with it. I because I started this on the Pi, I didn't have like the manual or anything, so I didn't understand all the commands, and so it was awkward at first, especially knowing I had to go up to the elevator and like push in on the button. It didn't take me that long to figure out, but it was still a little thing, a little learning curve. I knew this was a stealth game, and so there was part of this understanding of like, well, okay, I can see the guys on my UAV, but what's their proximity? When will they really see me? And what are my strategies for really getting around it? One thing I did before after I game over here is I went back to the menu, and they have a VR training section where you can do a couple training protocols.
Yeah.
So that you understand like things like crouching against the wall, moving while you're crouching against the wall, crouching and going underneath the thing, and also like tapping on a wall to get an enemy to come there. It's not something I use much throughout the game, but
no.
Still good stuff.
I was going to ask, what do you think about Solid Snake? But I think I want to save that for the end of the game. I think that's a better question for the end. So,
sure. How did you feel about this part?
Whenever I play this game, I always forget that it's there. I'm always like...
It's very, very short.
Yeah, I'm always like, okay, I'm ready to walk in the snow for a reason we'll talk about in a second. I'm ready to see all that. And it's like, oh, you're in a loading dock. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I got to go to the elevator. It's like, okay. But I'm always surprised that Liquid's there at the beginning. It's like, it's just a... Because you don't know the characters yet, so you're like, oh, Liquid's there. It doesn't mean anything the first time you play through it. But as you do it later, you're like, oh shit, he's right there. Like we could, if I had my PSG1, we could do something about this. But no, forgettable area, honestly. But I guess it's just a way to get new players to understand that it's a stealth game, and there you go.
Well, yeah, and it leads to the elevator, which is like one of the most iconic parts as well. Is Snake riding the elevator up, and the title screen comes on the thing.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, the basement looks like one of the VR missions.
I didn't even do the VR missions, so I wouldn't even know.
What'd you think of the truck or the forklift in the corner of the room?
I used it.
Did you?
To my advantage.
Did you play Shenmue?
Once upon a time, yes.
Our next,
but you have to ask Mei Ling for more on that.
Our next little area is the heliport. We got a big snowy area, and then a bunch of like little areas with that with items in it, and then the cool spotlight heliport. One notable thing here, I don't know if you picked up on this, Teddy, but when you walk around in the snow, the enemies can read your footprints, which is like mind blowing at the time. Obviously now it's kind of like whatever, but
yeah, what is like 90 Like, oh my god.
yeah.
Wait, you don't remember that part of Super Mario World?
Where the Koopas are like following you around on
the snow level.
The Koopa sees footprints. Mario, after him. This was also hinted in the VR missions that some terrain, the enemies would see your footprints and they'd know to come after you. That happens later too. Once we go further into the game, but the enemies can hear you step on certain things too. So
yeah, really intuitive. It's worth noting this is definitely a product of its time. A lot of these things that we're talking about that we kind of take for granted now, this was kind of introduced here in Metal Gear Solid. I can't think of another game that was this stealthy and had this much attention to detail at that time. Alex, are you familiar with stealth games at this time?
Yeah, the only ones I could think of that will like maybe rival this at the time, but maybe it'd be like the Tenchu game on PS1, you know. But even then, that game's kind of clunky. You know, I mean, you know, it's notable to say that like that this game, it works so well, I think, because they were doing this since the MSX. They did the first two games on the MSX, and this is actually the third game. So this is kind of like an evolution of that gameplay per se. So this isn't their first shot. This is just like the best version of what they had been doing.
Oh yeah, lots of narrative tie-in to those first two games that I had no idea what the hell was going on.
Oh yeah,
Teddy, don't worry, I have no idea either. Those games are really difficult to play through. They're like so old, and the gameplay is just not really there. That I've tried, and it's just not worth it. It's like, okay, if you say this is Gray Fox, I am totally cool with that. I'll just accept that. And then finally we get into the tank hangar, which holds basement 1, 2, and the room that you end up in at first. Lots of different stuff here to talk about. A lot of story going on. Obviously, the first area has the big tank in it. The second area has a boss that we'll talk about in a second. And then finally, we have the armory at the bottom. What are your guys' memories of the tank hangar?
There's a tank
in the hangar.
I was impressed. I was impressed that there were so many ways to get into it. I didn't even think about that when I always go up the stairs to get into it from the helipad.
Yeah,
but you can like go through grates on the bottom.
Yeah, I like doing it that way.
That's what I did, and I realized how goddamn dark this game is. I don't mean like, dark humor. I mean just fucking black. Like you can't even see.
If you like that, just wait till you play 3. That's all I'm saying.
I had the brightness on the TV at max, and I still couldn't see shit. They were like, "Follow the rat." Where's the rat?
That's awesome. Yeah, there's I was just so impressed that there's so many ways to attack it. Early on, that was a concept that they would explore in like I know PS3. They started talking about that a lot, but this was PS1 and they were doing it. But in PS3, one of the taglines for every game that was coming out was like, "There's multiple ways to attack a mission."
Yeah, play it your way.
Yeah, this game
have it your way.
This game was doing it a lot earlier than that, which is kind of impressive. But that's a Hideo Kojima kind of thing, I guess. We do meet some characters. We meet the quote unquote DARPA chief, and we meet Meryl. Pretty quickly here.
Favorite Pokemon.
I guess, is DARPA Chief the weirdest and only cinematic boss fight of all time? Like, ever? I don't know how to describe that experience.
He's... I don't know how to explain it either.
So, I mean, I guess, do we reverse engineer spoil this game?
Look, if you came to the Metal Gear Solid map out and you don't expect spoilers, What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, okay, so one, I'm totally with that. But what I mean is, do we reverse engineer because the story starts with not that he's.
I get what you mean. No. We can explain that as it goes along.
Okay, we hit that later. All right.
Yeah.
DARPA chief dies, and we get to see Meryl.
How'd he die?
He had a heart attack.
He had a heart attack. What the hell?
What?
Snake is so beautiful. It's candy to the naked eye. Causes heart attack on sight.
And we get to see Meryl. Meryl's one of our major characters in this game. It's the daughter of what's the guy's the
Campbell.
Campbell.
Yeah, Will Campbell.
The evolved form of Meryl.
What do you guys think of Meryl?
I kind of like this cutscene where you like, you know, she breaks out of the prison and you kind of, you know, you both kind of escape the area together. Because it shows that like she's kind of a rookie when it comes to all this, because like she has like a moment of like hesitation and stuff, like she will pull a trigger and everything. It's a plot point.
It also shows that she's a very well-rounded character.
Is that right?
I
I saw a lot of polygons.
Yeah, well, those polygons were moving.
Moving.
She's savage though. Okay, so like, you know, you're locked in the prison, you know, like in the little cell there, and you don't know how you're gonna get out. Like I think to get in there, you had to go through the ducts. I was like, God damn it, the fucking rat sequence again. But you're down there, and the DARPA chief dies, and then you're stuck there, and then she goes walking past the door. You don't know it's her, and suddenly the door opens. You pop your head out. There's somebody sitting there naked with their ass in the air. And you're like, what? And then I think she like clocks you on the head or something, and she's got her gun up at you. And so, I mean, it's an interesting way to kind of meet her. You see that she is kind of competent in her own like stealthy ways.
She's got a cute butt.
Basically.
I think this was the first time I was like, oh, this game is like very cinematic in that like old school movie, like 90s action movie kind of trope stuff. Which is, even as a kid, I picked up on that, which I'm surprised because I was not a movie watcher. But he definitely wanted to make a movie. and he got to make this game instead. So you're going to go through a couple motions here. You're going to meet the Armstead president. Is that who it is? The next guy? Baker?
Yeah, President Baker. So basically, we didn't really explain what Snake's doing. His first objective is to find the DARPA chief and Baker because they have codes to activate a giant weapon that the terrorists want.
Yeah.
So
Alex, I now dub you the narrative guy for the rest of the map out.
thanks. I'll do my best.
Yes. Thank you. And upon finding him, we do get to our first boss fight. This guide we're doing counts that little combat section with Meryl as a boss fight. I don't really count that, but Revolver Ocelot, one of my favorite characters in any video game ever, is the Revolver Ocelot character. Not specifically for this game. It's actually from Metal Gear Solid 3. His character in that, but he evolves into this. So, what do you guys think of the boss fight with Revolver Ocelot?
Not too hard if you know what you're doing, but I always, because there's trap wires. I always, first time I do this, I always touch a trap wire and blow up the President Baker. I'm like, fuck.
I think what's nice about this sequence is, like, depending how you've played up to this point, you've probably been pretty stealthy and moving around, so you haven't really messed with combat, you know, not to a full extent. You maybe had to take some guy out and then go hide for a little bit, but this is just all out guns blazing, so you really get to use your SOCOM, you know, in pretty good effect. I don't know if you have the FAMAS at that point.
Well, and I think this boss kind of teaches you, like, you know, sort of with the gameplay, like the whole point of Metal Gear, all the games, is to, like, you know, be more tactical and think on your toes, you know, instead of just going in guns blazing. And I think this boss reflects that, because if you try to just go after him and shoot him, you're not going to win. You have to kind of think it through and kind of, you know, wait till he like stops the reload, you know, count his shots and stuff. So it also kind of reflects that, like, the boss fights are going to take more strategy than, you know, like your normal shooter game.
Mm-hmm.
As your favorite character, Spencer, how does he fare in the first game?
Well, there's some sentimentality here because this is my first introduction to Metal Gear Solid, and that's why I never actually had the game. Well, actually, I did later, but I never really, like, for the longest time, never had the game. I was at a friend's house and he was playing this, and I was just kind of watching. And my friend wasn't like an avid gamer, although he had a PlayStation 1 and I didn't. But he wasn't like big into gaming, and I think he played mostly like racing games and platformers. And he's like, I can't get through this boss fight. I can't beat this guy. And he handed me the controller, and I beat it first try. And I don't know, just something clicked with me with this game, which was I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I was like, oh, you shoot him here, wait till he goes around, yeah. And I don't know, this is just my first introduction to Metal Gear Solid, and I loved it. So this boss fight's important to me. In this fight, I think it's, I like that he's a training thing, and it's weird that he's the main character because you'd think they would put like a disposable guy here.
Yeah.
But they didn't. He's like one of the most important characters in the entire series. So I guess that's the way to do it. I love that he gets his hand cut off. That's, again, ties to his entire character going forward, basically. Really cool. I love that it's like a gunslinger kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a cool taste. Like I like that all the bosses have their own feel to them as to who they are and their personalities. So at least that's cool.
Well, and you know what an ocelot is, right? It's like a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like even like that, like the cat eats the snake or whatever. And it's kind of like a cool little like metaphorical thing.
Well, ocelots go.
Definitely, I definitely agree. I love Ocelot. You think of 3, I think of 4 when I think of Ocelot, because there's a lot of cool. All I'm gonna say is handguns. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, I also love this segment with Ocelot.
Turns out President Baker also dies of a heart attack.
That's wacky. Oh wait, why did Ocelot get his hand cut off?
Ninja.
Because ninjas.
Because there's ninjas in this game.
A ninja popped up, as they do in most military type games.
Invisible cyborg ninjas.
To be expected.
And that's a bummer apparently. But Revolver also escapes without his hand, and eventually you're going to have to make your way back around and over to the canyon. You'll have to call somebody on your comm link, which you have to have the back of the box to do it, which is Meryl. Really great tactic. You'll see this game thinking outside the box a lot, which is what Teddy alluded to, of just really weird ways to get you to interact with the game. And that's kind of the first big one, is it's on the back of the box.
This is like more than a game at that moment. It's like an experience where they really try and challenge your thinking. They try and defy expectations for what a video game is. Like, it's contained within the video game. No, it's actually like contained outside the video game. They talk to you as though it's like it's you. It's like, and look on the back of the disc. What disc? I'm looking through my inventory.
Yeah.
And so that's all you have to go off of. But it's like one of those metaphorical your disc because it's yours.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it suck if you were like a kid in like 97, 98 or something, and you bought like a used copy with no case?
Yes.
And like you don't have any internet to just like look it up, so you're just like having to call all of the frequencies till you figure it out.
That would be a valid approach. There's only like 200 frequencies, so
yeah, so you're just sitting there like, oh my god.
I wonder if there's like a hidden frequency somewhere that you get just to get trolled.
That'd be amazing. Just like
Somebody's
just
found
call Kojima himself.
Yeah. Called Meryl. There's that one room. It's the armory. It's just got literally like a bunch of different rooms with different key combinations.
I hated that.
It's kind of lazy.
Oh, and they've got trap doors in there.
Yeah,
which
like
at this stage is not the most important. Later on, when there's enemies patrolling there, and you have to retrace your steps. Sometimes you might be like trying to stealth around, and you just stand over the trap door. Ah!
It's got that tie to Zelda with the C4. Put C4 on the unfinished wall, and you'll blow it up.
Oh yeah, but they don't do the tap the wall to hear if it's hollow or not. You have to see it, and that's the interesting thing is you can go to a first person perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can alternate there. That was kind of like janky a little bit, but I was getting used to it, and we'll see where it gets more janky later.
That's a really good word for this game, is janky. As much as I love it, the controls honestly in Metal Gear Solid have always been janky. It's like,
and it's
very
fine.
stiff. Yeah.
It's like that Resident Evil style, but maybe a little more on the janky side.
And once you get through that, we wrap it up in the canyon where we're fighting our next boss, which is Vulcan Raven.
Ooh. Hey, before you get there, you have to smoke.
Yes. Well,
you don't have to. If you just crawl, you can kind of make it.
You can also pick up a detector if you're sleuthy enough, or you can smoke and kill your lungs, whatever you want to do, Teddy.
But yeah. So you can it's the thermal thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, first time players will probably need to smoke.
which the thermal thing's also good for the grates. Just saying.
Yeah. There's all these little tools, but yeah, for the first time player, I think when I first did it, the first 8 times I've done this, it's always been smoking in the boys' room, as they say. Really great little thing that you can smoke to see the lasers. Another just weird and I think in the thing it's one of my favorite lines when he's like, "How'd you get those smokes in here?" He's like, "My stomach,
my stomach."
Anyway. Vulcan Raven. Hopefully you have your mind detector to get through all that. But
nope, I had no idea what I was.
Oh shit! That's a bummer.
So I fought the thing and it was okay enough. I beat it. So
yeah, it's weird because you're fighting Vulcan Raven, but he's just in the tank, and you're really just fighting the people that are gunning it. So it's kind of not, but certainly we'll talk more about Vulcan Raven later. And that's us leaving the first section, quote unquote, of the game.
Before we do, just the only thing, because I just didn't understand how to use the mine detector or where it was. I didn't have it in my inventory or something.
Yeah.
What I was doing is every time I would die because of the mines, I would count my steps in the snow, and then I would go that many, knowing like, okay, I can go 16 steps north without hitting a mine, go 4 to the left, and then up 16 and hug the wall, and I'll get around that way. So. I mean, it's probably easy to use the mine detector, but it's kind of like Alex was saying about call every frequency. It's like that was my strategy. It was like just count your steps.
That makes sense. Whatever you got to do. The game gives you a lot of options to get through a lot of these challenges, so it's kind of cool.
It's kind of the coolest parts about it's just any Metal Gear game is that you always have different ways to approach each situation. Yeah.
All right, next up is the nuclear warhead storage building. So obviously, you're understanding that the plot is mounting. That slowly it's turning into a game about nukes.
What?
And we got this one's a little bit more simple. We have nuclear warhead storage building 1, the basement 2, and we have storage buildings, underground passage, which leads to the medical room. Let's talk about the storage building 1. That's where you can't even use weapons because you're what are they called in your blood? Nanomachines. Your nanomachines won't even let you use weapons. Which, by the way, Teddy, we're breaking a lot of weird Metal Gear Solid things to you. In most things, like in most fantasy settings, if there's something you can't explain, the rule is to use magic. In Metal Gear Solid, it's nanomachines.
Nanomachines is magic, yes. I was going to say that.
So they're like, we can't use weapons here. Why? Nanomachines.
Yeah. Does Snake need to eat? No. Why? Nanomachines.
Well, he has rations, so.
Not much going on in Nuclear Warhead Storage Building 1. If you go to 1 and 2, that's where all the cool stuff happens. I guess... anything you want to say before we talk about the first boss, Cyborg Ninja?
You're looking for a certain engineer, Mr. Hal Emmerich. I want to mention that.
Yeah, we're on the search for Hal Emmerich. He's going to help us sort out what's going on here. He helped design the tool. I don't want to ruin what the tools are, but he's helped design the mechanisms. I love meeting him. Let's just skip over to meeting him, I guess, because it seems like we want to talk about him. Our first boss on this area is Cyborg Ninja. We got an awesome cutscene of people getting stabbed with a huge sword.
Kills everybody.
And then we finally fight Cyborg Ninja. He's pinned Hal Emmerich up against a wall. He's talking to him, and there's so much to talk about here. It's so hard to pinpoint where to start. Alex, I guess, what's your favorite part of this? The cyborg part or the Hal Emmerich peeing his pants part?
Hal Emmerich peeing his pants, dude. Which Hal Emmerich, we find out he goes by Otacon, named after the anime convention because he's an anime fan.
He's a real otaku.
Fucking hilarious. He built the mass weapon because he loves anime. That's his reasoning behind it. And then he realized that, like, oh shit, it's going to be used to kill people. Whoops.
What a plot twist.
Otacon becomes a big part of the franchise and does not leave. I mean, he's great.
Just like one of my Japanese animes. I love that quote. That should be used for everything. That should be a bigger meme. What a weird fight, too. You end up kind of just bashing him because he wants you to. And with him screaming. It's a little bit... To me, it's always been a little over the edge and eye-rolly getting through this. Where it's like, hurt me more, Snake. And you're like, punch him a little bit. And he goes, do it more. Feels good. It's always been weird to me when an enemy is like telling you that they're enjoying the fact that you're beating the shit out of them. Kind of takes away from me. But what do you guys think about Cyborg Ninja?
I don't remember the fight too much, but it was my introduction to chaff grenades, and the cyborg is electronic.
You didn't use those for the tank?
No.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
I don't need it for the tank.
I made it through the tank.
That's the easy way to do the tank.
I played the game on easy mode, which actually wasn't that easy. But criticism to me. So I understood that like the shaft grenades would disable him a little bit, and then there was like some hand-to-hand combat. It was weird at the end, and like kind of not the self-destruct sequence, but like he was like electronically raging, and like sparks were flying through him, and you couldn't touch him, and he kept like just reappearing on different parts of the map. I agree that I think Otacon is probably the most interesting part of this sequence, and it reminds me of like very much so of GoldenEye. There's like a mad scientist in there, and they have different kind of character arcs, but they're kind of like the underestimated like scientist in the building, and they actually have a very well fleshed out character. And he's kind of a parody in a sense, which I guess a lot of this game is. I don't know the year, and comparing it to GoldenEye, which came out first, etc. But I did like how like in the room there was like destructible environments. The cyborg could slash through the glass, and it was a big battle especially because you just saw this ninja cut off Ocelot's hand.
Yeah. This boss is actually kind of challenging. You know what's funny? I never knew you even used the shaft grenades here. So good on you. Shaft grenades are the unsung hero of Metal Gear Solid, the first one.
Oh my gosh.
They're so useful.
Lifesaver.
I didn't know you could use them here. That's really cool.
There's one boss battle that's impossible without them, I think. But we'll get there.
I think, yeah. All right, are we ready to move on from Cyborg Ninja? We learned some things about him if you want to talk about that.
We find out.
He's Gray Fox, which means absolutely nothing to most of like 90% of the people that played this game, I'm sure. Including myself.
Robots have name.
You mean explain a little bit about Gray Fox?
Go ahead. You be our lore expert.
Snake killed him in the second game. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. So how is he here? How did he get here?
Wait, I got you. It's the nanobites.
It's the nanobites. That sounds like a Metal Gear Solid themed like snack. Enjoy nanobites. Okay. Well, next
Enjoy
up
your
is
next hour-long cutscene with nanobites, brought to you by Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah,
This one's on us.
Part of your morning breakfast.
We're going to run into Meryl. We're gonna have an interesting scene in the ladies' bathroom with her. Okay. Learn a little bit about her backstory. The characters trade. These scenes always.
Is it Campbell keeping track of all this shit? So, it's kind of awkward, isn't it?
Campbell's just awkward.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you think about it. It always kind of irritated me when he would get in these conversations with Meryl, because Snake really flip-flops his character when talking to her. Like, some of my favorite dialogue is just because it's so cringy and weird. But Snake is impossible to speak to. I think at a certain point Meryl says, she goes, "What's your name, Snake?" And Snake says, "Names mean nothing on the battlefield." And then she says, "How old are you?" Like, she's just asking this question. He says, "Old enough to know what death looks like." It's so impossible to speak to this guy, but he's also asking questions about love.
It's only talking to Meryl, because when Snake's talking to anybody else and they're like, they say any word, he's like, huh? Snake has every question to ask. No answers at that point.
The script is bizarre, and it's intended to be. I get it, but it's very jarring when he's speaking to Meryl. But it leads us to probably the most famous boss fight in the Metal Gear Solid franchise.
Definitely. I mean, it's no secret that like it is, because I think they try to imitate it like almost every fucking game. They try to do something along the same lines.
Viewers know that we're talking about Psycho Mantis.
Ah!
Do you
Teddy
like?
had some fun fighting Psycho Mantises.
Question: Do you like Castlevania?
So you like to play Castlevania? I really wish Teddy would have played the GameCube version. It wasn't so expensive, because he'd be like, "So you like to play Super Mario Sunshine?"
Yeah, he reads your memory card. For us, I'm sure it was just like, "You're a blank slate," which is what it was. For
Yeah.
me.
Well, it was. He said, "Oh, so you saved a lot. I see you're very frugal," or something. And yeah, you've got a dark past. A dark past.
Okay, Teddy, did you or did you not put your controller on the table when he told you to?
I had it on the bed.
Oh,
Why?
so
okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex. Go.
So he tells you to put the controller down.
Oh, and it shakes it. It does the rumble thing.
Yeah, but he makes it move around.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing.
Yeah, no, I got that. I put it on the floor. and Snake's like, "How did you do that?" And, but as modern gamers, just like, okay.
But it's very innovative, though. You know? It's just like, who the fuck thought of this? I mean, other than like Kojima, you know? Like,
Well, it's just in terms of execution, as a sign of like mind control. It's just like that's part of one where it's like, you know, with the back of the box thing, it's like, okay, I'll internalize it, the character a little more. With that one, it's just like, you're not controlling my mind by shaking my controller.
But he's just be like controlling your controller. He's got
Telekinesis.
Telekinesis. You know.
And obviously the thing is, like, he can read your every move. And I was getting a little bit of damage done to him the first 2 times. I wasn't using the walkthrough, but I died twice. And then on the 3rd time, the colonel calls you. So, Snake, we figured it out.
Let's have a huddle.
Put your controller in the second controller port. That's how you know that the testers knew that shit was too difficult for anyone to figure out at the time.
Yeah.
Because they just put it in the game as a backup. And it's clever. I will hand it that. And I thought it was. I've never done anything like that. Because when that was happening, I was like, all right, I know this game thinks outside the box. It makes you think outside the box. What is it I have to do? What is this console capable of that I can play with right now that would stop him from reading my mind? Or what's in my inventory? And I wasn't figuring it out.
Snake,
obviously, it's taking your controller and putting it in the second port, because that never works in any other fucking game.
Snake, turn off the game and return it to GameStop.
Yeah, take the disc out and throw it out the window like a frisbee.
You know, I played this on my emulator, and I didn't know if I could switch out the controller ports. I got really nervous right here, but I could.
That's a good question. Well, you know, and I just to clarify, I didn't I didn't replay this before we did this, but I played this game enough. I don't really need to. But I was playing on the PS3 for what little bit I did, and I wonder if how that would work because it's a wireless controller. Like, do I have to go in and reassign it or something? Like,
Well, that'd be weird.
That's a good question.
To get here, actually, there was this part threw me for a loop. You had to find Meryl so she can go with you, and also he takes her over, so like that's kind of a unique thing too. But you had to find her and recognize her, and the PS1 graphics are just terrible. And so like I did, this part I got lost, and so like in order to get her to go to the bathroom, you had to like go into the main armory room, look at the character. She had to spot you, and then she'd just go book it. Who the hell would have figured that shit out?
Well, it's hard to figure it out that way, but it also just kind of I don't know if you noticed, but it forces her to find you. Like when you go into that room, like you can be super stealthy, but she will find you.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
They help you with it. But yeah, to physically know to do it is weird. But it kind of forces it on you.
Stare at some asses.
Yeah, just start staring at asses and you'll be fine. Which you weren't doing that the whole time anyway?
I'll just start eyeing down all the soldiers as they're walking by. These grizzly men and their asses.
I mean, Snake's the king of ass, so
Uh,
not in this game, but
He's
later
dummy
on.
thick.
Yeah. I'm saying old man Snake. Ooh.
love that spandex.
The actual fight with Psycho Mantis is pretty cool. He's using telekinesis and throwing shit at you. The memorable stuff is the psychic things that he does and reads your memory card and everything. And it's one of the few boss fights that's it. That's the character. Is you get the one fight and he's dead and he helps you out a little bit and sends you on your way.
It's kind of a staple from this point too to have those characters.
Yeah. Cool guy. I always found it weird when they were like, he's like, take off my mask. And they took off the mask. And it was like they were disgusted by it. But with the PS1 graphics, you couldn't really tell how bad it was. So it's just like, you take your word for it that apparently he's ugly. He looks kind of like every other character.
Don't look at me, I'm too ugly. He looks just like Snake.
Yeah. So, all right, apparently he's ugly. We make our way out of there and head to the underground passage. We need to go to where we're headed. What we would like to be is at the communications tower. But we get stopped along the way, and there's some dogs, which is cool. Fuck those dogs. And you're with Meryl, but she gets pinned down by a sniper. Looks like our next big fight is with Sniper Wolf. I'm sure Otacon's pissed about that. You have to get the PSG one.
You do. Yeah, that's true. You want to do that again uninterrupted?
You have Snake. You have to get the PSG one. I don't know why that's like grilled into my brain, but that section is just in my head of him yelling at me to get the PSG one.
Well, that is part of the agenda here. With the dog thing, you know how the rat tunnels were dark? This was even darker. And you have to like either the wolves keep respawning and you have to like be able to see where the holes in the wall are. And so in order to do this, not only did I turn the backlight all the way up on my TV, I turned the brightness all the way up.
Wow.
But I realized after that you had night vision goggles. And so I was like, well, silly me, but both work.
Yeah.
So.
Another really memorable boss fight with Sniper Wolf. Meryl gets used as a target, and they're expecting you to save her, and you leave, most likely, and then come back.
Fuck this.
She gets shot right in the vag as the first shot. You see the reticle like aim to her and then aim down. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, and so like piecing out the plot because it's my first time playing it. Like I was trying to understand like, is this a decoy? Like obviously that Meryl's telling you don't come after me. If you do, they're gonna kill you. They're using me as bait, and she's just getting shot alive. While this is happening. So I was just trying to figure out, like, is Meryl really on my side? Is she not? What's going on? And also with like you have to leave and go all the way back. Like I was like, really? I have to go 5 rooms back. What I did like about that in doing the retracing my steps, I had almost no rations, but a lot of the inventory on the screen will replenish. Not all the time, but sometimes. And so I was able to completely restock on rations on my way back and forth.
Do you know what the answer to all your questions are, Teddy?
Huh?
Nano machines.
Oh, okay. I thought it was nanobytes, but okay.
I like this boss fight. Did you use you can use the diazepam?
Yeah, I did.
I believe you can use the cigarettes too. Is that true?
Oh.
Can you?
I don't know.
That sounds logical.
I might be making that up, but I thought you could, but I always use
Spencer Metal Gear facts. You can use the cigarettes.
The definition of fake news because I have nothing to back
But
that
Spencer, you don't have to smoke.
I'm a shill. By the way, this podcast is brought to you by Marlboro.
You're not. Oh, we had a sponsor. That's why you're doing this. Oh, okay. I mean, you're not wrong. You can smoke the cigarettes during this part. It may not help you. You can.
But you can't do it.
You can do it. Yeah.
I thought it's.
You could also like in real life, like you know how the game is like outside the box. You could smoke while you're playing the game.
Oh, that's
true.
Marlboro.
I picked
smoke while you play the game.
Smoke while you play Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, they actually used to include a cigarette in the box. That way, whenever you're playing this part, you just light up.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, and when you buy the game, it's like they can have one loose cigarette in the gate.
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
case,
yeah. So it's like, mom, do you have a lighter? I'm trying to beat Metal Gear Solid.
Rated M for tobacco in the case.
It's hard.
Mom, am I doing it right?
I think I'm gonna quit. I didn't raise no quitter. You're gonna beat that game.
You can smoke all those packs. She's pretty easy, but it's cool to see like a tactical, another example of a tactical boss fight with sniper rifles.
So
like
something else they're gonna repeat later on. In the franchise. I don't like the fact that you shoot her 15 times and then she's fine.
That's about 6.
That's video gaming. The whole thing is video gaming.
Oh yeah,
it's very. It was just I don't know. It was just like that. Like the cutscene after that always cracks me up because I'm like, I just shot the fuck out of you, and you're like, put your hands up.
Or I mean, what about every Kingdom Hearts? Like I just remember. It was the worst to me with Kingdom Hearts because you bash the fuck out of a person, and it's the same with all games, honestly, because they just have a health bar and then they have to put it in a cutscene after. But it's like you bash the shit out of them, and then at the end they're like, "Oh, you got me good there," but I'm gonna hit you with this one.
Well, the difference is in like Kingdom Hearts, it's like a stupid fantasy cartoon RPG game. This is like trying to be somewhat grounded.
Are you crazy? Seriously? Metal Gear Solid?
I'm saying somewhat. It's definitely a military anime, but they're trying to keep it somewhat grounded. They're trying to.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, obviously those parts are ridiculous. Like, and the fact Meryl's still alive after this, like, it's and Snake's like super gimped by comparison to everyone else. In terms of like how many hits he can take before he game overs. But really, we could blame Mario for all this crap. How many times has Bowser fell in the lava and I'll meet you in another castle?
He's melted his skin off like I don't know how many fucking times. And he's back.
Maybe that's why in Sunshine he's taking a bath because in every game he just bathes in lava.
Yeah, he knows what's coming. It's like, I'm just gonna chill in this water.
I'll meet you in another bathtub.
After we beat her, we do get cornered, unfortunately. And it's off to prison we go.
Oh, no.
I mean, that's it. I mean, you go to prison.
It's been a good run, boys.
Yeah. You get tortured.
Say goodbye to your thumb.
You get tortured, and Meryl's life is on the line, and you are also in that little prison cell. A lot of cool moments here. Teddy. Did you save Meryl or didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Yeah.
I was proud of him. That's not that, but the first thing I asked him is in regards to later, and I was like, oh, good job, Teddy.
I just thought that was the norm. Well, okay, so how don't you save Meryl? Is it you let her die before you leave the room? Before the sniper wolf battle? What? How do you get the bad?
No. Like, Okay, maybe we save this question for the end of the game. Maybe that's how it
Okay.
works.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
How did you?
Well, sorry. Go ahead.
How did you get out of the prison?
I called Ocelot. He showed up, and he. But also, I hid under the bed when the guy went to take a shit.
Mm.
That's John. Meet Johnny.
Johnny, yeah.
Johnny's gonna be a running joke at every fucking game from this point on.
How'd you do it, Alex?
I will. I mean, when I first played it, I did the same way, but I don't know. It's just like what all ways can you even do it?
Okay, so you know how he gives you ketchup?
Yeah.
What you do is you lay on the ground and then activate the ketchup, and then it spreads below you and it looks like blood, and then the guy runs in and thinks you died.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I never even thought about that.
I didn't even use any of those items.
You ended the game with ketchup. You're just like,
I just ate the ketchup. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's just another example. They're just like, let's give them a couple different ways they can get out of this and see what they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually you make it out, and we're off to the next area. Which
Can I just say about Sniper Wolf though, about
Absolutely.
using that sniper, that shit was janky.
yeah,
First off, she's really competent. Like she's sitting there, she's running back and forth, she's aiming at you. But in order to use the sniper, you have to switch to the sniper and you go automatically into aiming mode.
Mm-hmm.
And you're centered towards whatever direction you're facing. But then you also need to use what was the drug called?
diazepam.
Diazepam.
Yeah.
In order to just steady the hand. And every time that she'd hit you, which is like roughly every 5 to 10 seconds, your aim would decenter.
Yep.
And so you'd have to leave sniper mode, recenter on like going forward, and then aim back at her.
A lot of the issues with the controls kind of got fixed by 2. And then got really good by 3.
Yeah, I would say 3 is where they really got it. They
Yeah.
were like,
Well, like
and,
2
and like the re-release of 3 too.
Yeah. Well, two they had actual first person shooting mode, right? Like where you
Yeah,
By
they
2
did
they
that.
introduced that. So a lot of the aiming stuff resolves itself. by then.
Which if you would have played Twin Snakes, it uses the same engine as 2. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they brought the first
Cool.
person. So any of the aiming issues you might have had are gone at this after this game. They just
The
fixed
one
them all.
saving grace is like there was a little bit of like homing slightly. Like if I was off by a little bit, it still counted it as a hit on her. So
Yeah.
I made it through the fight after maybe 3 or 4 tries. But you gotta love how there's mines right before you. Yeah.
Thanks,
You gotta
game.
fight her.
Yeah, they get the whole thing where she's like using her mind control. The thing she can now read minds apparently, which they never go back. Do they go back to that in like the future? 4? Do they talk about Meryl's ability to read things?
Oh, don't ask me what all they explain it for.
Okay, we'll skip ahead. But nobody's that.
Not today, folks.
All right.
I'm not ready to talk about 4.
Next up, the communications towers. You got to do a little bit of backtracking, obviously, because you're back in the first area. But you go all the way through past where you're going, and we get some intense action scenes and eventually take out a Hind D piloted by Liquid Snake. There's a lot going on here, including going up a huge tower with people chasing you. What do you guys remember about the communication tower and the Hind D?
Have you met McDonald Miller by this part?
Yes. He showed up pretty early.
Yeah, I know he did, didn't he? Okay. Yeah.
Master,
Master Miller.
Master Miller.
aka Guile. I remember the goddamn staircase. That shit doesn't end.
That's another trope from there's so many tropes.
Dude, yeah, there's so many like tropes that like, and I honestly didn't even think about it. Yeah, there's just stuff that like they were like, we did that, we should just keep doing that.
It's like you go up like 24 flights of stairs, and
Yeah.
then you finally come on a door, and then the door is there, and And meanwhile, guys are chasing you. They're
Yeah.
respawning, and your health sucks, and you can't aim. PS1 game. And the door's frozen shut. And Anacon's like, "Don't worry, just go to the roof.
Just keep going up. What's wrong? You tired?
This is nothing. I do this every morning."
Did you have cardio?
Use the nanobites.
So by the time I had got to when we'll get to it, the next boss, I had one ration left because I
wow.
had to keep using it because these guys kept hitting me.
Dang.
So that was rough.
This boss fight's tough with one ration.
Yeah, there is one. Well, we'll get there. I'll wait a little bit.
I really like the repelling stuff. That just kind of comes out of nowhere. Like,
Should we talk about why you're repelling in the first place,
yeah.
Alex?
What do you want?
The
What?
helicopter. Why is there why are we repelling down the building?
I forget. I didn't replay this.
Because he, okay, so, yeah. So it's easy to forget this part. The Hind D blows up, like, the whole crossing the top part of the communications towers. So you have to go back down and then cross a bridge that's kind of like halfway through, or halfway up. And to me, it's freaking awesome.
And this is before the fight?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is before the actual
Oh,
fight
okay.
with the Hind D.
Okay.
And he's like shooting you while you're rappelling down the side of the mountain.
Oh,
Building.
okay. Yeah,
Not
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I
like
think I know what you're talking about.
total like an action movie scene, but it's so cool. And it's so
I
genuine.
sucked at this part. Yeah, it's like if you time it right, you can hop over the bullets and the steam.
Like, no, you can't.
Could not time that shit right.
Also, that's not how it works. Like, it's like if you jump far enough backwards, the bullet will still shoot you. Just quicker, I guess. But yeah, really, really neat random section. But eventually, you will fight that Hind D with your new rocket launcher,
Yeah.
The Stinger.
Stinger missiles.
That thing comes in handy.
Mm.
Make a new best friend.
Okay, what do you guys think of the Hind D? I thought this boss was kind of goofy. This was more of a battle of attrition for me. I didn't really get it, so it was just a lot of me shooting a rocket at him and him shooting a rocket at me.
I think it doesn't really serve a purpose plot-wise, and also in my opinion, it kind of breaks the plot a little bit. Because it's being piloted by Liquid, right?
Yeah.
The thing fucking blows up. So Liquid's dead, yeah.
Well, it tells you that Liquid is hard to kill.
It's like one of the dumbest parts.
It's even dumber in the GameCube version.
Is it?
Oh my god, that was one of the things that people would complain about. The GameCube version has a cutscene at the end of this where, and it's been a while since I played it, but Liquid Snake will shoot a rocket at you, and obviously you've beaten him at this point. Snake jumps into the air and kicks one of the rockets, and it shoots it back at the helicopter.
Well, that's cool.
I don't remember that at all. I only played through Snake Eater once because my friend Ethan had a copy, and I was playing his.
I happen to love it. I mean,
Not
I
Snake
think
Eater,
if you're
Twin Snakes, sorry.
yeah. If you're gonna do a Metal Gear Solid and you have the opportunity to go over the top, the game clearly wants to go over the top. So I say do
Oh.
it, and I'm totally cool with it.
Again, we'll get there. Just give it a few games.
So I think what was hard about this one is that it has like an auto fire on the Hind D, and with like a machine gun, and so you'd have to take the time, line up the shot, you'd have to aim it, and it would home, but you'd have to wait until the shot landed. If you pulled away, your Stinger missile wouldn't hit. And so because my rations were low, I had a little bit harder of a time with it. But it was mostly manageable. I thought it was okay. Another thing that was hard was like sometimes if you're too close to the wall,
Yeah.
you're firing the Stinger, you just hit yourself.
Yeah.
That was difficult.
That happened to me a lot.
It happened to me a lot later, but
I always put myself between the two buildings, and so yeah, it would like clip the corner. It's so annoying. Like, are you kidding? I started running out of ammo at the end of that one. Yeah. This is considering this a boss fight, but as soon as you beat him, as soon as you kill Liquid Snake for the first time,
He's dead.
that should be a hint.
liquidated.
As soon as you liquidate Liquid Snake in his Hind-D helicopter, you go down this elevator shaft, and there turns out there's 4 invisible guys. And it's just... I don't consider it a boss fight. This guide is considering it one. I don't really think of it that way. But I love how overdramatic Otacon is in that one.
It was so dumb.
They're behind you! They're in the room with you!
Super close up on his face.
Yeah.
You can see his nostrils. He's like, Snake, before I left, I had 5 invisibility cloaks. And I'm wearing one of them. And then I went back to go get you one, and they were all gone. Snake, they're in the elevator with you.
Yeah. It's like, all right, I'll fucking kill him then. Who cares?
Thanks, Otacon.
I mean, Otacon's one of the best Metal Gear characters. Just for that reason, because he just doesn't belong.
Oh, man. Okay. And then when you're crossing the way over here, because we're trying to get ourselves now to the maintenance facility, we have our final encounter with Sniper Wolf. I guess as I've gotten older, I've gotten softer. This one was actually like emotional for me. Killing Sniper Wolf 2. Like when I was a kid, I was like, "Who the fuck cares? Blow this bitch up! Like, get him."
Use the stinger. Use the stinger.
You're just in the way. I'm trying to get to that door. Get out of here. Like as an adult now, I'm playing through this, and Otacon's professed his love for her and everything, and it's like I was like, you know what? Like I'm actually a little bit moved by this.
Yeah, she says she's like a dog of war, and Snake's like, "You're not a dog, you're a wolf." Or like, we're one of the same cloth, and you need to go out with respect. You could have killed Meryl, and you didn't, and so I respect you for it, which was unexpected. I didn't really expect that superhuman side of Snake, although we kind of see it a little bit when Meryl first disappears.
Yeah.
But this scene was unexpected, and like the whole little trifecta here, the awkward Otacon. Why? I loved you. And she's like, piss off.
Yeah. Well, and you see that with the other guys too. Snake does have a code of honor, and you see it, which is weird because some of the characters clearly don't. But he gives them their dying wish usually. So
Yeah.
And it's like putting a dog out of its misery. There's some symbolism here. So
yeah.
It's pretty cool. And then you also learn about Big Boss. I don't know too much about the lore here, but
Teddy.
And times like that, I'll turn it over to our narrative expert,
Big Boss is
Mr.
the,
Alex at
founder of-
radio
founder-
frequency 140.86. Alex.
Big Boss is the founder of Foxhound, which you've kind of been fighting them the whole time. Big Boss is like the subject of like all the prequel shit and everything. In the first game, Big Boss was the bad guy, and that's kind of where that comes in. And there's some other stuff a Big Boss will explain, I guess, here in a bit whenever it's brought up in the narrative. But Big Boss is like where Snake is like the legend. I guess Big Boss is like the tip top, like he's the man.
Tip top.
Well, with the defeat. Go ahead.
I did it twice. So I want to get one in.
With the defeat of Sniper Wolf 2, and finally her demise, we get to go to disc 2. We're doing it, boys.
Put in disc 2.
What is this, RP, like a Final Fantasy game or something?
Yeah, I used my CQC and I punched the eject button.
Okay, Is there a PlayStation 1 game where disc 2 is better than disc 1, like in terms of like gameplay and stuff?
No, this two always
Res-
always falls apart.
No, no. I would argue Resident Evil 2, because it's like the Claire campaign, and
Okay.
it's basically. I mean, it's not. I don't say it's better, but it's not like worse. It's basically.
I
the
just
same.
know with like Final Fantasy 7, Metal Gear Solid,
Chrono Cross,
Xenogears
Xenogears.
apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all those games it
Frog.
falls apart. This one I don't think it was bad. It just wasn't as long. Like it just wasn't.
Frogger,
Super short, yeah. Frogger.
Dixie the Frogger.
What's disc 2 of Frogger?
He has to
Gur.
hop back across the street.
Oh shit, it's
Yeah.
going back.
Yeah.
So we're going down to the furnace. This thing says there's a boss fight with genome soldiers. There's a bunch of, mobs as we call them. It's not really a boss fight. And then we you travel through the furnace. It's cool looking at how hot it is because it's it's gonna matter in a second. But you get through it, I guess, and then you go to our boss fight with Vulcan Raven. This is an actual fight with him, and this is freaking cool. What do you guys think of Vulcan Raven?
I love how stupid he is. He just looks stupid.
What?
I mean, look,
Are you
the Vulcan Raven does. Yeah, I mean, no, I mean he's cool as fuck, but like in terms of like, I don't know. If you think of like a military tactical game, like you don't think of fucking Vulcan Raven.
Quote the Raven, nevermore.
I always somehow, I guess I have a soft spot for him. I think he's freaking awesome with that gun. And I liked it. Obviously, like if you're talking about tactics and CQC and stuff, it makes no sense to be that bulky and have all those.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that, like he just doesn't. He doesn't fit into the cast.
Well, I think he does because he would be the heavy artillery guy. Like there's a sniper, artillery guy, psychic.
I mean, you know what?
Different.
In spoilers for Teddy, kind of. We'll see in the second game. There's more ridiculous characters like a fucking Jesus vampire and a fat guy on skates. So you know what? Vulcan Raven. I'll take it.
Oh, I gotta play this one now.
Got the heavy. Well, the third one has
on a
bees,
skate.
so that's why.
What does that bees?
And a really long river. But anyway, so he's the artillery guy, and this is a really good example of multiple ways to beat a guy. So how did you guys take out Vulcan Raven?
Yeah, I used the Nikita launcher, which there was a part in one of the earlier stages we didn't really talk about that thing, but basically that launcher allows you to control the direction of the missile, and you can kind of like wiggle it around to make it slow down, and if you just let it cruise, it'll go full speed. That was pretty good for me. That and frag grenades. Those were really useful. I was able to kind of get him on the corners when he was coming in. I tried C4. It didn't work too well for me. And the Stinger, I was always just hesitant to have the setup time and not be able to move.
Yeah.
The only thing that was annoying with the Nikita launchers was I would hit the corners and I would just do massive damage to myself. So that would screw me up. But I did like this boss fight. He took quite a few hits. And quote the Raven, nevermore.
Terry, is Terry here? I use the Stinger because, like I said, the Stinger becomes your best friend after you get it.
I never use a Stinger. Like, so how do you just maneuver behind him and then shoot him with it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I got you. That makes sense.
How do you go behind him without him seeing you? His range is so high.
Like, do you distract him with noise to do it?
I don't think so.
Because he's very like quick to turn. So I never.
Did you use the ketchup? Did you put it in the snow?
I used the ketchup and I laid it in the snow. I used the Spencer tactic and I smoked a cigarette.
Nice. That'll do it.
Yeah.
You smoke your cigarette.
Yeah. That's the cool way of doing it. Marlboro, man.
I wish I could give you the answer to how. I just know I used a Stinger when I played.
I did Teddy's strat. But I had more luck with the C4 too. So
that seems like it'd be hard.
No, because if you make noise, he'll know where to go.
That's true. Okay.
And then he starts walking there. So I just dropped a C4 and turned the corner and just punched. I love the end where he's just getting eaten by his raves, but he's still yelling at you. How fucking badass is that? So that's just the coolest thing to me. And then at the end, like when you go back and forth, it's just his corpse is just there. There's big blood stain on the ground.
What's his commentary? It's like he gives you a little hint that the previous DARPA chief was a doppelganger, the one that was in the prison with you, because he's the angel of death or something. And when he went to collect it, it wasn't really the DARPA chief.
Okay, yeah. Let's establish that. So that was kind of what I was alluding to. Is the DARPA chief was actually another boss character that you just don't fight. His name is Decoy Octopus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a it's another one of them. You just don't know because looks like the DARPA chief.
Yeah, I was, because he brings up Decoy Octopus. I'm like, did I fight Decoy Octopus?
This is very forgettable. Yeah, that was him. It's so weird. But I guess it's their way of maybe. I wonder if at a certain point they did the whole thing and had him die of a heart attack or whatever, and they're like, "Oh shit, that doesn't make any sense because of this, and this," and they're like, "Let's just add another character in it called Decoy Octopus."
That's probably what happened. I mean, I think that's kind of what happens with a lot of the Metal Gear explanations. Is that they're like, "Oh shit, that didn't make any sense, did it?"
Can we use nanomachines on this? It's like, nah, it won't work. Okay. Let's make up a boss character. Okay. He's a decoy, right? Yeah, his name's Decoy. Well, what's his other thing? Octopus? I guess he had 8 arms. That would have been more interesting.
We'll roll with it.
Yeah. Anyway, so there you go. We another weird boss fight that doesn't exist. And then the rest of the game is dealing with the actual Metal Gear Rex itself. Now, to get there, turns out we had a card key, but we only had 1, and it requires 3. This is going to be interesting. I'm not sure how to solve this. Oh, the key is heat sensitive. So it changes shape based on the temperature of the room you're in. That's interesting. I think
I hope you like backtracking.
You know, a long time ago we had a thing where we were asked a question about like annoying side quests or annoying quests in gaming.
I remember that.
And I brought this one up specifically.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now that I've played it, I agree.
Use the key, okay, and then go to somewhere cold and stand there for a little bit.
We call that padding where I come from.
Yeah, that's like a really crude amount of padding. Is a stand there for a while. Okay, it's cold now. Go back and use it. Now it's got to be hot. All right, let's go back to the furnace. Stand there.
I just kept checking my inventory. Like, has it changed yet? Has it changed yet? Has it changed yet? Okay, good. I was like, I hope to God after the heat one, after heating it up, it does not cool down. I do not want to backtrack all this way again.
Oh, yeah. There's like a timer. That would suck.
Yeah, Otacon's like, well, the problem is if you do the heat thing and then you come through the cold, it's going to freeze up and you're going to change shape again.
Shut
Says
up,
like, basically.
Can we just find a microwave?
Yeah.
That would have been amazing if there was like a microwave. You could just like beep beep beep.
That could be like one of the alternate ways you could do the mission.
But the ultimate way to ruin an annoying side quest is to prove that it was also counterintuitive. And here it
And that
turns
you're
out
just
it
a
was.
fucking pawn.
You were a pawn the whole time. You just activated Metal Gear Rex.
What? How did this happen?
Well,
Alex?
the reason is that they couldn't actually get the information out of the DARPA chief.
Yeah, out of the DARPA chief.
So they needed you to do it.
Yeah, Mr. Master Miller turns out to be liquid with some sunglasses on. Fucking hilarious. He just like takes them off and like lets his hair down.
Question.
So, Snake, did you like my sunglasses?
I have a slight question with this. I guess when I was playing it, it didn't click in my head. But when they're talking on the thing, is he actually seeing them as well?
No, right? I don't think so.
But then why does he take his sunglasses off?
I guess just for like the player, I don't know, because like the little portraits. I don't think they can actually see the portraits back and forth. Because it's just like the thing in your ear and it rattles your bone or whatever. And
Yeah.
So why show it?
I don't know for the player.
I guess it's for.
reveal.
I get that it's for us, but there's so many things that are visual with it.
That's true.
It's
That's
like
true.
You can see if Snake if he has like his suit on or not.
yeah. It's just.
I don't know.
So dumb, but it's so funny.
I don't think they ever explain that.
Yeah, because he undoes his hair and the glasses.
Yeah, and he's
and
like, "Liquid."
It's
It's like he's just super intuitive. Snake is. He just pieced it all together. Well, you did it. You summoned Metal Gear Rex. So here it is. It's we're basically at our boss rush here of final bosses. The first instance of Metal Gear Rex. You're shooting a large dinosaur that also screams like a dinosaur. I like that they coded that.
just like in Otacon's Japanese anime.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Stingers, right? Everybody use stinger missiles here?
Yeah.
Stingers and chaff.
Yep, there you go. Stingers and chaff. We get a little bit of story here with Gray Fox helping you out, coming back. I like that. Did you point your missile at him and try to shoot him?
Yes.
And did he go?
It didn't work.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like some of the extra narrative here too. This is a very PS1 thing, but they were using not live action, but
FMV.
live footage.
Yeah.
It's not the first time that it happens in the game, but you see like inside a science laboratory, and it's about like the whole genome project. And apparently Liquid Sword is mad at you because he thinks he's the inferior brother. He got the recessive genes.
Yeah, you're both clones of Big Boss.
Yeah.
And somehow Liquid Sword got the shaft end of the stick. What is he inferior in anyway? I'm not clear on that.
Well, so there's a misunderstanding of what genes are in this entire discussion, which makes it really cringy. There's a recessive gene and a dominant gene, and that recessive and dominant don't mean good and bad, or bad and good, I guess. It actually
Strong and weak.
It kind of means strong and weak, but the gene itself doesn't make you stronger or weaker. Recessive just
it's just you're more likely to get
the
trait.
If you have a dominant gene, that's the gene you will get, if that's the one that you get, the allele. So it doesn't really make sense what they're talking about of recessive versus dominant genes. Like that's not how it works. Okay. But that's how Liquid interprets it, so I'm kind of surprised he got this far in life. But like by this theory, like somebody would have like raised their hand like, hey, Liquid, I don't know if you know what you're talking about. But he thinks that he got the bad genes. So they engineered Snake to be the stronger one, to get the good warrior genes. And then apparently when you do that, all the bad warrior genes have to go somewhere. So they just use those to make Liquid, I guess, is what he means.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
It doesn't really make any sense. But there you go.
Sounds like a plot of a bad movie.
It sounds like an 8-year-old wrote this.
Yeah. The good part and the evil part, they separate them.
Yeah.
We'll blame it on apoptosis.
And we also haven't talked any about Fox Die.
Right.
Oh yeah, which is the real culprit behind all of the 2 heart attacks.
Yeah. So one of the characters you're interacting with, her name is was it Naomi, right?
Naomi, yeah.
Yeah, Naomi. And turns out she poisoned you with something called Fox Die, which is what everybody else died of, heart attacks. And she's really working against you because you killed Gray Fox in the second game.
Yeah.
So he's like, you're poisoned. And you're like, oh, fuck it. Whatever.
Yeah. Super lazy writing. There's a lot of really lazy things in this in the story, which you can kind of forgive because it's so complicated that at certain points they're just like, we just got to put something in here to explain this random thing. But I found it really annoying that characters just die from Fox Die. It kind of cheapens the experience. Definitely the ending. It's like, come on, that's lame. But anyway, we'll get to it.
Yeah. Cliche number 3, 4, 5 in the book of movie cliche.
So you do end up beating Metal Gear Rex, which is pretty cool, pretty epic boss fight. And then it gets even more epic because you fight Liquid Snake on top of the damn Metal Gear Rex head.
Yes.
This is like awesome Metal Gear Solid for me. I'm like screaming
in a bona fide Royal Rumble.
Oh God. You know,
I'm just messing with you.
Terry, I want you to understand I was about to stick up for wrestling right there. All right, let's move on.
All two of you.
Yeah.
Somebody say shirtless boy fight.
Dude,
Boy fight!
Boy fight!
it's freaking awesome.
It is.
It's just like a testosterone fight. It's so
It's also,
freaking cool.
also something they're gonna bring back later on.
Yeah, you just have a fist fight with Liquid Snake on top of Metal Gear Rex.
Don't you love that? You go through all this shit, and then the final fight with Liquid Snake is a fist fight on top of
I loved it.
robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
CQC.
Yeah.
And you know, this one, if you're really getting hit, you have no rations, you have no equipment, so it's every bit of damage is what's called real damage because you can't restore your health.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then you have a 3-minute timer. Meryl's gonna blow up if you don't save her in time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the tension was there, and I was afraid I would have to, if I fucked up here, that I would have to game over and start from the beginning of the goddamn Mech Rex fight.
Yeah, thank God.
Which was already annoying and tense because you have to keep switching between grenades and the stinger.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it was so annoying. I did like the battle. Like it was, high stakes. I just didn't want to have to go through all that again in the cutscenes and everything. And you can't skip the part where Gray Fox dies.
Yeah, yeah.
Gray Fox.
Great Fox.
Gray Fox.
Great Fox. This is
More like strawberry jam after it fucking gets crushed.
Oh. Great jam.
Yeah, he's not coming back for that one.
And then once you beat him, you knock him off of the Metal Gear Solid Rex. So he's definitely dead because you didn't see him die. And you head to the garage, and you guys are going to make your great escape out of the facility that's going to be exploded because that's how these things always work.
Yes,
The government decided they're done with this project and they're just going to blow it up. So stupid. And so you get on your motorbike and you head out. So, okay, Teddy, at this point, you had Meryl on the back?
Yes.
Okay, good. So when
do you want to explain why that matters?
Yeah. So you don't have to save Meryl. In fact, every time I played this, like for probably the first 3 or 4 times I played this, I didn't know you could save Meryl. So for me, it was Otacon.
Which is the bad ending, which is hilarious.
Yeah. I always got the bad ending. I did not understand that you could get like a good ending. Like there was another thing there. So yeah, my experience was always Otacon with me. He's like, "You think you can find love on the battlefield?" And he's like, "Shut up, I'm pissed off."
I think we already have. And then drive off to the sunset together.
Yeah.
That's good.
So no, I'm proud of you. That's very impressive. You got Meryl. Good
But
job.
how do you screw that up?
You give up?
What do you mean? You lose the fist fight?
No.
No.
It's
It's when you're in torture.
yeah.
Oh,
If you-
why does that
if you can't
affect if you get Meryl?
Because if you fail the torture, they kill her.
Oh, I didn't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought if you failed the torture, you game over and had to restart.
No,
from the
you
last save
can
point.
give up.
Oh, you can surrender.
Yeah. And I didn't understand that. Like, I just because they keep torturing you. I didn't, as a kid, like I didn't piece together that you could just like maneuver your way out. It was just like we're gonna keep torturing you until you give up. And it was like
That wasn't clear from
yeah,
what was explained.
yeah.
That was the implication.
And I wasn't obviously good at pressing circle either. So it was like, as a kid, it was just like, all right, I mean, I gotta give up. So you just
And
give
they
up.
keep repeating it. You have to do that
Yeah.
over and over again. So
Yeah, so it was like when I was like 9 or whenever I played this game for the first time, a couple runs, it was always I didn't know you could save Meryl. I thought it was just kind of like you lost her. That's it. So kind of a weird experience
Yeah.
for me, I guess.
who's strapped to the bomb? Ocelot? Or not Ocelot, Octagon.
Otacon.
Octagon.
Yeah. Liquid's like, I'm tired of this asshole. Strap him to the bomb.
I'm gonna aim for your heart, Snake. Otacon, and we'll blow up in 3 minutes. Screw that weeb.
But as you're driving out of there, of course, Liquid Snake is driving behind you and is trying to kill you again. So, never died.
Jesus.
So you're trying to shoot him.
Still looks immaculate. His
Yeah.
hair's all kempt, no blood.
And
driving a Jeep.
you eventually escape. Huge car wreck. And Liquid Snake dies from fox die. Bummer. All that effort you took.
Whoops.
What a horrible cop-out ending I think that is, but okay. Whatever you want to do.
Well, hey, I hope you like Alaskan wildlife.
Yeah, because you drive into the Alaskan sunset.
I think I'll like this new life together.
Otacon.
Yeah, it's always awkward. Hey, Otacon, what are you doing sitting behind me like that? It's weird.
And you find out his name is Did you find out Snake's name?
David.
Oh, David.
Isn't the stupidest fucking name for a soldier,
Yeah.
for like an action hero?
My girlfriend actually was listening and watching at that time, and she was laughing too. She said, "David, we jokingly call it the game David Snake now."
Yeah.
Funnier that way.
Metal Gear David.
Yeah, Metal Gear David.
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 Names don't matter on the battlefield. What's your name? David.
It's David, in case you wanted to know. And then the game shoots cutscenes at you about peace and apparently how the world will never achieve it, and then love, and there you go. That's Metal Gear Solid.
Dun, dun,
Metal.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so I know we kind of harped on the inconsistencies in the narrative, but I also appreciate when it does get a little bit more deep and heavy and political. One thing that's happening towards the end is the Colonel tries to step up for you, but you realize that he was being kind of puppet strung all along because Meryl was like kind of the fodder. They would take her out if he didn't play along. Lock up Naomi and send Solid Snake on this kind of like suicide mission. And then when he tries to save you, it ends up being the U.S. Secretary of Defense who pulls the strings and puts him under arrest for high treason. And that's when it suddenly becomes like political commentary against like the U.S. And you realize this is a Japan game. How did you guys feel about like just the overall political nature of the game?
I'm 9, Hideo Kojima. I was kidding.
Yeah, when I first played it, it all went over my head, and I only slightly understand it more now. It's just I am not a politically oriented person when it comes to entertainment. I know some people. I always get into this when they talk about like Final Fantasies. They talk about tactics in Final Fantasy 12, and they're like, "Oh, they're really political stories," and I do not like them at all. I don't want to hear about this country versus this country or this thing. Metal Gear, I get why it said Metal Gear Solid. That's kind of the point. Is that and the other ones will explain that as well. It all has to do with like an alternate reality of politics and yada 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 and the Cold War and this and that. Okay, I get it. But to me, I skip, my brain just skips ahead and just thinks, okay, it's something political. I'll just take it for what it is and go on. I kind of ignore it.
Well, that's kind of the beauty of like the series, is that like you can look further into those things if you want to, but you don't really need to. So I'm glad you enjoyed that aspect, or I take it you enjoyed that aspect, because that's also a running theme in the rest of the franchise.
Well, here's the thing, right? It's like you compare it to a lot more American media, and we don't go nearly as deep. You talk GoldenEye, you're just talking a stud with a gun.
Absolutely. Well, when I think stuff that has this sort of like depth to it politically, I think of like the which isn't a game, but the Ghost in the Shell television series is basically just politics, the show, with some action here and there. and that's sort of like how this is too. And I imagine a lot of people here in the West were like Spencer. It was just like, no, I'm gonna shoot things a snake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me so much, Spencer, of that quote about like gamers in the West who don't appreciate like side quests or whatever.
Yeah.
This quote applies to like this scene. I definitely think
Yeah.
at the end of the game, when they go into the 8,000 nuclear warheads were declared, deconstitutional. To this day, there still exist 2,500 nuclear warheads with the potential to kill more than 10 times that in Hiroshima. I don't know that that's aged particularly strongly, but I guess I appreciate it, but it did seem a little out of place.
Well,
to me, it was kind of like they're trying to do everything kind of approach, which is fine, but maybe it got conflated, and because they focused on so many things in this game, some of the others lost value.
To tie into that, the problem with doing that is I don't know if that's true or not. And I don't know if you're saying that in the context of Metal Gear Solid, where there's a cyborg ninja, or if you're talking about real life, where there could be. Like, I don't know if you're making a statement or not, and the message gets really confusing.
Oh,
Yeah.
and it I think it gets worse with the sequels because they start introducing like government conspiracies and like like groups of like people that like pull the strings, and like stuff like that. So I like to think of it in terms of like the Metal Gear universe.
Yeah. That's how I do it too.
Yeah.
Is like,
Okay.
like you could interpret it that there's a message here, and maybe there is, but any facts, toss them out the window, because it's too confusing when you start conflating them together, because it's just nonsense. The game is just has so much nonsense to it. It's hard to piece what's right and what's wrong, and
But,
what was just set up to make this plot point make sense.
But I still do kind of appreciate the commentary though.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
What did you guys like most about your experience with Metal Gear Solid 1?
Okay, so I think Metal Gear Solid 1 is a conclusive and complete story, and it stands on its own, and I just love that story of it. I don't know if any other Metal Gear Solid you could keep as is by itself, and like it would make as much sense. I mean, obviously Metal Gear Solid grabs from Metal Gear, so
Maybe
there's
like
little things.
Maybe like 5.
5
because
barely.
the story is barely there.
Yeah, maybe 5, but Metal Gear Solid to me is just such a great story and so like a complete package. And I love that about that game. It's not my favorite Metal Gear Solid, but it's hard not to recommend it as the one you should play if you've never played one before. Like that seems to be it.
Alex?
Oh, it's not my favorite either. My favorite's the sequel, but I do agree with Spencer. It is nice, and it's also nice that it's technically the third game, and you don't really need to know too much. Like maybe some context on who Big Boss is and who the hell Gray Fox is, but like in terms of like the events of the first two games, you don't really need to know much. And I think that was a very smart move on their behalf because we had like shitty version of like Metal Gear 1 on the NES that I'm pretty sure nobody give a shit about, and stuff. So I think I really do appreciate the fact that it is like its own story. I don't know if it's a game that I would like tell somebody to play first. Honestly, I'd probably pick the third one for a newcomer, even though you are kind of lost in the shuffle at that point, unlike some of the context. But just because playing the PS1 version of this game, well, playing the GameCube version is kind of impossible. It's like $200. Playing the PS1 version, there are some limitations that I think somebody that appreciates more modern games wouldn't appreciate. For example, the sniper fight.
Yeah. For me, I gotta tell you, in the first half of this game, I didn't think I was gonna finish it. I was like loathing coming back to it. I was like, can't I just play Chrono Cross right now? Like, I don't want to play this shit. I sucked it up. I finished it, and what I really did grow to appreciate. Well, first off, I got the gameplay down after a little while. It took me some time, and I still think it's janky, and it doesn't age particularly well, and it doesn't look particularly good during the actual game. With that being said, I think what I liked most is definitely these interludes and these narrative sequences, even during the cutscenes. I know it didn't look great, because of the time, but just finding out more story and seeing that intermingle with like the codec calls and just listening and like just kind of experimentation. It's almost like a mystery novel. It's like you're trying to figure out what's going on. Maybe I'm just saying that this as somebody who's playing this for the first time. But a lot of it is like it's a growing understanding of what's the real problem with the Metal Gear, what's going to happen. Some of it is predictable, some of it is cliche. I already knew going in with the 3 keys things, I'm going to detonate this thing, aren't I? But I did like trying to figure out, okay, who's really the bad guy here? Is it the Colonel? Because he seems kind of fishy. But then you get to know a different side of him as the game goes on. Is it Naomi? Are they really trying to go with some kind of femme fatale, Asian evil woman thing? And they do kind of defy some of those expectations. And I appreciate that it's kind of an unconventional take on storytelling. The out of the box kind of gameplay, yeah, that's cool. It's funny. It's unique. I didn't much care for it. I more cared about just getting invested in kind of the story.
Interesting. Yeah, it's good to hear your opinion on this because it's such a polarizing game and it's from a different era. So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on it, and it's refreshing to hear a completely fresh take on Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PlayStation 1.
I don't even know what are the opinions. Why is it polarizing?
There's a contingency that, there's a whole contingency that doesn't like the stealth games. Okay, so anybody that doesn't like stealth games, this is the granddaddy, and this is like why you don't like stealth games. Then there's a contingency that thinks the story is insane, which they're not wrong. That's the annoying part, is that everything that they say about the story is correct. It's just if you like it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bonkers, and it gets way like 2 is an exponent of bonkers of what this is.
God.
It's
isn't this? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
It was whatever you're gonna say is yeah. Let's just hear what you're gonna say, because I'm just gonna say it's crazy.
Isn't this so impressive on the PlayStation 1 though?
Oh,
exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
You like I know Star Fox 64 has good dialogue for an hour. This is like fully voiced. Like even with this, the staff credits, the first people that they list are the voice actors. There's full recognition that like these were roles that were assumed by real people, and those roles were well communicated. This is probably one of the best ventures into realism that I've seen in trying to make it realistic, with obviously how crazy the story is, and like the return of people who clearly died. Like, what am I watching, a kung fu flick here? But I can set that aside because I do feel like this is a real reconnaissance mission, and it's these are real like characters and settings and situations, and it's relevant to the time. So I bought into it in that sense.
Well, I think what really like divides people is not the game per se, it's the fan base. It's the people that, because you talk to somebody that is really into Metal Gear and they're going to argue with you about the plot. They're gonna like to defend the stupid shit. They're gonna, and I find that for like most franchises have that. I've talked to fans. I like the Spencer brought it up earlier. I like Kingdom Hearts, and that's franchises the definition of stupid. But I've met fans that will defend the stories, and I'm like, you can like the games and still understand that like some plot points are just dog shit. Like you can still be a critic, but there are some fans out there that don't think like that. Like, I love this franchise and I have to defend every aspect of it. And I think that's what draws people away from Metal Gear sometimes is the people that are like, no, it totally makes sense.
It's the Fox die.
Yeah, it's the Fox die.
Yeah. No, it's a very divisive game. And some people also consider it more of a movie than a game, which, again, they're right.
Yeah.
It is. So what?
So what? Yeah.
If you don't like it, then there you go. But there's nothing
Grab
wrong
the
with not
popcorn.
liking it. I'm just, to each his own.
Grab the nanobites. 'Cause, guys, we're snacking.
Well, that's our map out of Metal Gear Solid. How'd we do? Tell us in the comments below.
This is Majority informing viewers to like and subscribe to the Button Mappers.
Spencer, can you give us your best snake death? That's pretty good.
It's half snake, half Donkey Kong.
What about you, Alex?
I always think of the snake.
Oh, you're talking about when other people are talking about snake.
But
dying.
no, I liked your scream though. That was good.
Snake. 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 Dun, 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 dun.
Meet us next time where we're gonna play Metal Gear Solid 2. Hope you're ready for Vampire Jesus and Fat Man on Skates. That's the new subtitle for that game.
Jack.
Can't wait. Meet you there.
Hey y'all, don't forget to subscribe to them Button Mappers.